Students have hit out at suggestions that free university tuition in Scotland should end a senior academics question that sustainability for the SNP's flagship policy. A university principal, speaking on condition of anonymity, said, "It is time to look at a gradual increase in tuition fees for Scottish students, or at least consider it, as the current funding model is unsustainable." But Liam McCabe, the president of the National Union of Students in Scotland, said there should be more not less support for Scotland's students, so that they are not burdened with debt. Mr. McCabe said, "NUS Scotland has and always will assert that education is a right, not a privilege. It should be ability that determines how far students go in education, not the depth of their pockets, and it's right that the Scottish Government remains committed to free tuition." University bosses would do well to join NUS in making the case for increased government investment in Scotland's students, especially those from the poorest backgrounds, rather than burdening them with thousands of pounds of new debt. Scottish students get free university tuition in Scotland, as do students from other EU countries, but those from England, Wales and Northern Ireland have to pay to study there. In February, the Scottish Government extended the guarantee of free tuition for EU students to those starting in the 2019 to 2020 academic year. Eligible students will have their fees met for the duration of their studies, even after the UK leaves the EU. In England, the fees cost up to £9,250 per year, making it the most expensive place to study in Europe. Now academics have publicly stated that Scottish society should be open to debating university funding. Elizabeth Smith, the Scottish Conservative education spokeswoman, said, "I am not surprised by these calls, particularly at a time when there are many issues about the SNP's capped places policy. We're seeing increasing numbers of well-qualified, domiciled Scots not being able to get into Scottish universities of their choice even when places on the relevant courses are still available. That cannot be right. If Scotland's universities are to maintain their competitive advantage at the same time as enhancing academic standards and widening access, they require additional levels of income." Quote. However, Colin McAllister, a special advisor to Nicola Sturgeon, said the Scottish Government was told that free tuition was unsustainable when they last had the debate 10 years ago. "Despite UK austerity and a recession, we sustained it and Scottish universities remain world-class," he said. How will pro-fee voices explain that away, I wonder? Peter Matheson, the principal of Edinburgh University, said fees might have deterred him from attending university in his youth but acknowledged high-quality tuition as expensive. Whether it is paid for by tuition fees, governments or loans, that is a debate we can have in society. Matheson said he did not want the fear of debt to deter students from higher education. However, he said, the idea that we've got to make sure higher education is attainable, for me, that doesn't immediately translate into an ideological argument over tuition fees. He added, when I was a school leaver, my ability to tolerate debt was very limited. The reality for a lot of school leavers now is that if they are going to go to university, they need to be able to tolerate debt. That's an issue we can't hide from. Jim MacDonald, principal of Strathclyde University, said, in order to attract and retain the best academic talent and best students from home and abroad, we need to make sure that higher education is properly funded. Quote, Professor Sir Anton Muscatelli, the principal of Glasgow University, said, society will periodically go through this debate about free tuition, but warned the majority of Scots are unlikely to back a change in policy. Let's not kid ourselves. You see the debate in England, fees were introduced and now people are saying perhaps some of this should be publicly funded, he said. Professor Muscatelli insisted Scottish universities are in good company with leading European countries in giving free tuition to home students. Our sector is highly competitive given the substantial investment from the Scottish Government and leverages additional economic benefits for Scotland, he said, adding that an important thing for the sector is sustainability of funding. John Swinney, Deputy First Minister and Education Secretary, said he looked at tuition fees through the lens of values. The values I associate with education is that society should benefit from collective investment in the educational development of our population. That is the moral purpose of education, he said. What comes with that is a commitment to make sure that universities are properly and effectively funded, and that is the very firm commitment we have given to our institutions. He rejected claims that the SNP has capped places for Scottish student numbers, a policy which is said to have limited access to university for poorer students. Quote, "What is important is that we make sure there are no barriers in the way of young people from a range of backgrounds gaining access to university education," he said. "We are absolutely committed to the policy of no tuition fees approach to university for Scottish students, and that will remain the commitment of the SNP government."